Hey, what's going on, family? How's your heart doing? How you sleep last night, man? It's your favorite Mufa. Come back on for another rendition of Office Hour with Mufa. It is, yeah, man. Been a great week. Been a good weekend. Today was, we sitting here with this eclipse energy. Woke up today and you know, as this season has been, just kind of sitting and waiting on my emotions to let me know what type of day it's gonna be and how much work I'm gonna have to do to make sure I stay in my body. So again, thanks, man, for the sit down. Been playing around with some different angles, trying to see what this thing gonna look like. But yeah, man, just trying to get better day by day. Tonight is not gonna be as long as the last episode. Last episode, I was real passionate, man. I want to say Ibaye Tonu to Young Scooter. The city of Atlanta been taking a hit, man. Been losing a lot of our cultural, icons and pieces in the culture in the city, in this trap culture, hip hop culture in Atlanta. And yeah, lost another artist that we all, a lot of us grew up on, Young Scooter, Reband Gang. Um, and yeah, kind of speak. I think that's another reason I was passionate last night, just kind of speaking on, the state of black male, the black male experience and what does it mean to be a black man committed to performance. So tonight, I think I wanted to just come on and touch on confidence and why, confidence, the real confidence is really fostered and nurtured and grown at a time and in spaces where nobody's really clapping for you, nobody's watching, nobody is. You're not getting that external validation from people. Um, Today has been, well, this week, I'm gonna just say this week, when I ask you how's your heart doing, my heart is tender, my heart is wide open. But yeah, this week has been a real, for me, a glimpse into what it looks like to kind of take inventory of my power. When you pray for something, sometimes you don't really know how it's gonna come in. But as it comes in, the way it comes in at times is often indicative of spirits, influence and what it means for you to grow with the blessing and not just get it in your hands and fumble it like you have in past seasons. And this week, just some days have been super high. Other days we back in the valley, and it's just been sitting on my spirit, as I process, just kind of what's next, like what's my next move, what's the thing that spirit God has for me in this season, and it's just really just been hitting me that I have gotten really used to being let down over the past few years. And I gotta start with myself as it relates to knowing who I've been in a space of survival mode, having gone through so much, going through so much conflict, interpersonal conflict, at times. As I look to as I've been raising my daughter for a decade. And so the hostile kind of environments that I found myself in are just always trying to remain, physically present has seen me really like, yeah, whip up opportunities out of thin air at times, really tap into my, my client resource management bag and following up with folks, emailing folks, seeing, what value I can add in certain spaces. And, when people meet me, I think that's the one thing I've been told that, does not seem to be lacking with is confidence. I consider myself to be well spoken. We stay drippy, you know what I'm saying? So I always got I'm always having something on, man, and I'm presenting myself in a way that says that I know who I am. However, when I'm quiet, when I'm in my, alone time, I'm very mindful that, it's hard. It's very hard to continue to show up with the confidence when you have really been stripped of a lot of the performance. I talked about the performance the other night and what that shit looks like to just be in a space of, committing to the performance. But what happens when you have radicalized yourself to who you are, your sensitivities? What happens when you're not in a space of, you know, running from your sensitivity? And I think I'm in that place now where I'm just like, yeah, man, what is life gonna look like for me where I'm not having to perform, where I'm not always having to put the strong face on. Um, and also just in a space of, being an entrepreneur, being a hustler. I'm also thinking about, okay, I think that's the thing. It's just not necessarily being afraid of failure, but just being afraid of misstepping. You know, I think that's where the spiritual aspect for me comes in at, because it'd be one thing if I was out here by myself, if I was out here, with no responsibilities, no kids, no, I wasn't a caretaker. But it's like I got some things and people depending on me. And, being an entrepreneur, you're going to make mistakes. You're going, I learned from Gary Vee, school of Gary Vee, you got to fail fast. And also, at 30, it's not, I'm not 26 no more. I'm not 16, I'm 36. So to sit with the different opportunities that present themselves, and also just knowing like, hey, it's not that I'm afraid. It's not being afraid of trying. It's, I don't want to misstep. I don't want to have wasted motion. And at times, it's hard to really give yourself the grace to be able to make mistakes at this stage. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to sit still and know that, okay, I'm going to try something new and I'm not going to get everything right. However, this thing may be for me. And to do it is to confront the fear of, you know, fucking up and not getting it right, not knowing. Right. So today has really been a day where I've been sitting with some opportunities that have presented themselves. And the biggest thing for me, over this time where I've been meditating and just, talking to God and asking for direction has been not necessarily, yeah, it's really just been, all these opportunities for me. And if they are, give me the ability to see myself in the way that I need to see myself so that I can show up confidently to get the job done and to handle my business and to be successful. Even tonight, like I feel it in my voice. Like sometimes it's one thing when you hop on here and you just kind of share yourself. Like today, my confidence took a little hit. I don't know what from. I think it was just me being in a space of like just wanting to know. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to know what's next. Um, you get decision fatigue. Always having to make hard decisions and figure stuff out, and not really having the support of anybody to say, nah, you should try this. I got you. We're gonna support you here or whatever like that. It just feel like shit. I gotta make all the decisions right now, and shit ain't easy. And I really know that in this season, this fall, this winter, coming into this spring, it has been a transforming of my everything. Mind, body, soul. Me getting my discipline back. Me meeting myself again. And yeah, it's not easy when you don't feel like you have a tangible anchor. It was one thing when I had, consistent clients on my private practice. I had at least enough folks coming in paying me weekly, bi-weekly to take care of the bills. Now, I got like two or three, two in a possible, as it relates to clients. And I'm just showing up, trusting that these emails I'm sending out, these, interviews, these jobs I'm applying for, just different things. I'm trusting that this shit gonna come through. I'm trusting that shit gonna shake. And, every day that passes, I feel like is a day where I'm having to sit quietly with myself and really look at myself in the mirror and ask myself, like, who are you? I'm having to remember the times where I've had to be in this same position and start over again. I'm having to tap back into, as y'all see, you know what I'm saying, my books here. I'm reading African Psychology right now, by Naeem Akbar. This is one of the books that really created my foundation for how I do my work. And I know this one right here, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the one right there. Like this one right here, I'm probably gonna have to open up pretty soon because yeah, man. I think for me it's just realizing like I know how to make shit shake. I know how to move. I'm just having to be radically like honest about my discomfort, you know, um, and sitting in the time in a space where like, yeah, I don't got consistent income. I don't have transportation. I'm having to lean on family for transportation. I'm having to, um, you know, do a lot of cold calling, a lot of emails, a lot of, trying to figure out opportunities, so that I can get back rolling. And if I'm being honest, man, this spiritual life, as much as I, at times wax poetic about how necessary it is, I understand why niggas don't lean into it. I understand why we perform because to be in this space is really terrifying sometimes. To not necessarily know, to trust the process, to trust spirit, to trust your spiritual core, unseen forces when, you know, yeah, somebody like me, when people look at me, I think that goes back to that confidence hit. Is like the expectation for my life is success. The expectation for my life is for me to be in a space where, I'm manning shit, I'm running shit. My family has always projected that onto me. And it's taken a lot of work for me to sit with the confidence, the real confidence in myself, and not, rebel and also be kind of resentful for the fact that there's so many expectations that were placed on me with people who didn't necessarily offer me the support or the guidance or really help give me the building blocks to build up this confidence that I have. I've had so much audacity to be able to go out here and do things and accomplish what I've accomplished and write books and, grant design programs and create, entrepreneurial endeavors and hats and shirts and pens and shit and brands. And yeah, I think, a lot of folks just at this point don't realize like what it's taken for me to do all those things. Um, for me to realize like there was a version of me that felt like if I wasn't great, if I wasn't extraordinary, I wouldn't receive bare minimum. I wouldn't receive care or love, right? Um, and I've worked really hard to get back to a place to where, I just see myself as worthy of love, bare minimum. And so as it relates to my purpose and my destiny, if as it relates to my money and my career and professional things, it's really been a rewiring of sorts for me to simplify like, okay, you can do as much as you can do. And also the spiritualist in me knows that like I gotta commit to my spiritual practice, my spiritual hygiene. I gotta stay in prayer. I gotta stay on my knees. I gotta stay in front of my altar. I gotta, do the things because I receive direction when I'm listening, when I'm still. I receive the nudges. I just connected with some folks that had I not listened to my intuition, to my Ori, I wouldn't have been in the right place at the right time to meet, this person that I met. It had nothing to do with me or my might. It was just a, hey, I need you to listen and go here. So it's something to sit with how confidence in your whole self and not just in like the technical training or, the human systems. I think the confidence that's built in the quiet seasons as it relates to your spiritual systems and your ability to trust spirit with your work. They say faith without works is dead, but it's like faith requires a trust in something that's higher than you and bigger than you. As you work, you gotta expect that things are gonna happen, but it ain't necessarily you that's making it happen, right? So there's a marriage there. So we talk about like the quiet and the still season, real confidence and quiet go together real bad because when nobody's clapping for you, when nobody's watching, who are you for real? Who do you see yourself as? Who do you speak to yourself as? Like, how do you call on yourself? I know today, feeling that shit is eclipse season. It just feel like a reset, and it's like there was just a lot of. It just felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel like shit was going on today. So I rested and I set my emotions, and I was like, I need to. I watched some things, read some things, and I was just like, okay, let me jumpstart. I've been talking about my body as a divining tool, and my body as the place where spirit can really move. It's like I need to go work out, and I had hurt my leg last 2 weeks, so I kind of dialed back on some things. But today I ran. I ran and I lifted pretty heavy on the treadmill. So just thinking about like, the confidence in my body and the wisdom in my body to know what to do at times when my mind don't know what to do, you know, and how important it is, how important it is for me and how important it is for us. When we're quiet, the thoughts can get really, really loud. And a lot of us, we get performing and being around people because we don't really like being around our thoughts. My thoughts were not my friend when I woke up this morning. My thoughts were not really working for me this morning. So I meditated, I rested, I pressed the reset button. I allowed myself to be still enough to clear some things out. I journaled, I wrote some shit down. I just went in my bag. And I just want to encourage whoever's watching this to know that like you are bigger than this moment. You are bigger, than what feels like, you know, um, the best thing you've ever done. Right? Sometimes we get caught up in that past success and that external success, and we don't realize and we don't honor the success that's happening in these quiet seasons. The real confidence that's being transformed and being built and being, really being cultivated within you because it's a confidence that's gonna last. When I talk to my child and let her know the seasons of isolation and solitude that I've experienced, where you know she don't really see me sad and down and out like that. Don't mean I don't be crying every other day. Don't mean I don't be feeling this shit. But the work that I've had to do to maintain just showing up in the way that I can as her father, that's a confidence that I don't know how many men of my lineage can really speak to. If we aren't winning at this game of masculinity, we don't be no good for nobody. And so I just think about my capacity right now to still show up and keep showing up, to keep doing the work, to keep loving people, to allow myself to be used and not just shrink into a hole and have a fucked up attitude every day. It's like, nah, bro, like feel that shit, respect yourself, set your boundaries, and also like keep loving, keep showing up. And that's what I'm gonna keep doing. And in this quiet season, man, the confidence is real. It's real as it relates to you seeing yourself. Who are you? What are you confident in? Are you confident in your spiritual core? And I know for me, as much work as I've done over the past years spiritually, I haven't had the most confidence in my spiritual core. I have been expecting the bullshit versus expecting the triumph, expecting the victory. And as that's turning around, I'm feeling all the feels and it's uncomfortable at times. It's painful at times, and I know it's just growing pains because they want me, they desire for me to be at an expected end. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for just the consistency to be able to come on here and share and talk and just let y'all know this shit real, man. It's not a facade, it's not a game. It is, and it's also worthy. I believe that these episodes, these podcast episodes, is gonna set up the foundation for folks to see the transformation in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like to see really what, how big it is when you really trust in your people and the cloud of witnesses, the crowd of witnesses that you got, you know. And that's where I'm at with it today, man. Today felt like more of a journal entry for y'all. I just wanted to come and touch in and tap in on quiet and confidence. Cause yeah, it might not feel like it, but you really becoming him, you know. You really becoming the version of yourself you really wanted to be all along, the one that's hella proud of yourself when you look in the mirror. So I love you. I love you, fool. I love y'all out there, man. I hope y'all have an amazing weekend. Take care of yourself. Peace.